Get on your fancy hats, ladies, because today we're headed to the state where 120,000 mint juleps and 7,000 liters of bourbon are drunk in a single day, and even where today governors must swear an oath before taking office that they have never fought a duel with a deadly weapon.
It's the birthplace of the Red Corvette, and for Romy and Michelle fans, and who isn't, it's where Post-it notes are produced.
Exactly. You're listening to Queer Money episode 451, and today we are sharing the most affordable LGBTQ plus friendly city in Kentucky. Now on with the show. The mission of Queer Money is to financially empower the LGBTQ plus community. Join us in thanking Capital One for supporting that mission. Welcome back, ladies, and those who loosely call themselves ladies.
Gentle ladies,
right.
And all the men, the many, many men.
We are continuing our Queer City series, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can catch the whole series here. If you're listening, you can click the link in our podcast player.
Last week, we visited Louisiana, so for those of you who want to catch that episode, you can catch that here. If you're listening, you can click the link in your podcast player. So now some time for some podcast love. We're ecstatic to announce that this series, the Queer City series that we've been doing for the last several months, and we'll be doing through till about April or May of next year, 2024, won a Plutus Award for Best Personal Finance Content Series Audio. Oh, that's pretty exciting because that's it's our sort of little industry's version of the Oscars or the Schmemmys, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, more like the Schmemmys.
But we got it's great. It's our peers acknowledging us and the work that we're doing, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from all of you. So thank you very much for that. This is a very interesting series that we're enjoying, and it's great that you're enjoying it too. If you feel inclined, please give the Queer Money podcast a rating and review on your favorite podcast player, or if you happen to be watching this video, give us a like on this video.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about Kentucky. We were surprised, we're actually kind of blown away that Kentucky has 3 cities that got a 100 on the Municipal Equality Index. That is actually better than some blue states.
Yeah.
And we use that term blue states loosely because there are more often purple states, but we were surprised that there were so many. 3 is quite a bit for a not hugely populated state.
And a very red state.
Yeah, exactly. And we were also slightly surprised that every city that we analyzed in Kentucky has a cost of living that is below the national average. So every single one of these is below 100%. So it's a cheap place, friendly place. Seems like there's some good things happening and possibilities for LGBTQ people who live there or want to move there.
Yeah. You know, as you're articulating that, I'm thinking to myself, we've gotten a lot of negative feedback on this series from people who are like, oh my God, gays don't live in the snow belt. Gays don't live in the Rust Belt. Gays don't live in anywhere. Apparently we just live in New York and Florida, or I'm sorry, New York and California. And a lot of that seems to be people projecting their feelings. But the numbers sort of show otherwise. And I know the numbers aren't necessarily experiences, but I wonder if, if we look into the data more and we give some more of these locations a chance, if we all might be a little bit more surprised about the acceptance and inclusion in these communities.
Right.
Granted, they're not like New York and California, but hey, hate crimes happen there too all the time. Yeah. Right. So it's there's not a utopia, unfortunately. So hopefully this is inspiring some people to at least consider other locations. Definitely do your homework and make sure that it's amicable for your situation. But anyway, that said, on my high horse.
John, who's our runner-up?
Our runner-up is Louisville. There's a very specific way to say Louisville if you're from Louisville. And I don't think I'm doing it right, but I'm trying to fit in. Anyway, why did Louisville get a runner-up position? Well, it was one of the 3 cities that scored a 100 on the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index. Home values average $236,000 per property, which is slightly above average for the state. Rents average $1,347 per month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. That's also slightly above average for the state. Cost of living is 89.8%.
Which is funny. You're going to say this. It's what?
The second highest.
Right. Again. The second highest, and it's not even anywhere near 100%.
Yeah, that's nuts. And then all the bourbon you can drink, apparently. Average income is $67,000 per year, which is the 3rd highest for the state. And median income is also the 3rd highest for the state, coming in at $51,000 a year.
I'll just say this. I've actually heard from folks in the LGBT community that Louisville is a great place for LGBT folks. And I think that's partly because Louisville is considered one of the sin cities in this part of the country because of alcohol and gambling and all the things that go with that.
I will say that my sister, David's sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law and our nieces went there a year or two ago, and they all came back and said, "You and David would love going to Louisville." So maybe they know us a little bit better than we know ourselves, but we haven't been there ourselves. But the people that we do know, granted they're white and straight, seem to have a great time, and so maybe the numbers are correct.
Yeah. Tired of all the credit card offers you get from your current credit scoring app? Download CreditWise by Capital One today to avoid them. So, who's our winner? Our winner is actually the city of Covington. Most people probably haven't heard of Covington, and that's partly because Covington is actually a suburb of Cincinnati. It is across the river, across the state line into Kentucky, but you're still basically a part of the city of Cincinnati. And it may be considered a kind of the slightly more affordable side of Cincinnati, if there is such a thing, because I think in general, Cincinnati is a relatively affordable city. So why did it get the top spot on our list here? Well, it also was one of the cities that got a 100 on the HRC's Municipal Equality Index. Home values came in at the second lowest in the state at $186,000.
Crazy.
Well below the national average.
That's the average. Nuts.
But the interesting thing is the rents were the highest in the state, coming in at $1,475 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, which is interesting because that kind of, to me, speaks to the possibility that there might be some arbitrage here, being able to buy a property at a low price and be able to rent it at market rate. You actually may be able to invest in real estate in this
exactly too. Or I wonder if there's a lot of transients happening here where people go there, they work for a little bit, save some money so they can buy a property, and then they bounce somewhere else.
Yeah. Cost of living, 89.3%, which was the third highest in the state. But here's probably one of the big things that helps is the average income coming in at $75,000 and median income coming in at $57,000 were the highest in the states. So you've got LGBTQ friendliness, you've got low cost homes, you've got low cost of living and high incomes. Sounds like a sweet spot for LGBTQ people.
Exactly. That $75,000 average is actually pretty decent for relative to the national average.
It is. And
much more buying power there.
Yeah, coming from the state of Kentucky.
Yeah. So some good things about Covington. In 2003, it became an inclusive pioneer when it first passed a human rights ordinance that added sexual orientation and gender identity as protected classes against discrimination.
Get that? A red state back in 2003.
Yeah, it's kind of during the George Bush era. It has easy access to Cincinnati, as David shared a little bit earlier, which is has a nice little gay scene in and of itself. So there's not a gigantic LGBTQ plus scene in terms of bars and restaurants. There's a little bit in Covington. It's not gigantic, but you're so close to Cincinnati, and that definitely has a nice little community there. David and I have actually been there ourselves and have enjoyed it. So you kind of get the little bit best of both worlds. And then I just lost my train of thought here. Oh, yeah. Then Pride is the first weekend of June, typically. This past June, it was June 4th. So definitely check out future Prides and maybe check out the whole area and see if it might be a place that you live long-term or even temporarily to get ahead financially.
Congratulations, Louisville and Covington.
Financial independence with a checking and savings account that doesn't nickel and dime you with fees. Get a Capital One 360 checking or 360 performance savings account at Capital One today.
Thanks again, folks, for watching or listening. If you're listening on your podcast player, next week, we will be covering the most affordable LGBTQ plus friendly city in the state of Kansas. And guess what? It's not where you think it is.
If you'd like to see the results from all the cities in each state that we're analyzing, go to queermoneypodcast.com/cities or click the link in your podcast player if you're listening, or click the link right here if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you and have an amazing weekend.